President Trump says he'll end voting by mail and even voting machines in order to safeguard U.S. elections.
It's time that the Republicans get tough and stop it because the Democrats want it. It's the only way they can get elected.
I'm Daily Wire Executive Editor John Bickley with Georgia Howe. It's Wednesday, August 20th, and this is Morning Wire.
The U.S. flexes its military muscle, sending 3 Navy destroyers to the coast of Venezuela to target drug cartels.
President Trump has been very clear and consistent. He's prepared to use every element of American power to stop drugs from flooding into our country and to bring those responsible to justice.
And the White House touts several wins, including big progress on Ukraine peace talks and its D.C. crime crackdown.
We walked around after dinner last night, and just to see the police presence, it's way more calm and just a safer environment.
Thanks for waking up with Morning Wire. Stay tuned. We have the news you need to know.
Hey guys, producer Brandon here. Quality sleep is the most elusive luxury. We've all experienced those nights laying there just breathing as the minutes tick by. I used to know those nights well, but then I found Beam's Dream Powder. Beam is proudly founded in America and run by people who share our values: hard work, integrity, and delivering results. It's a healthy nighttime blend packed with science-backed ingredients shown to improve sleep, so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day. That's because Dream is made with a powerful blend of all natural ingredients: reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. Plus, it tastes fantastic. Here's the deal. Beam is giving our listeners the ultimate Patriot discount of up to 40% off. Try their best-selling Dream Powder and get up to 40% off for a limited time. Head over to shopbeam.com/wire and use code WIRE at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/wire and use code WIRE for up to 40% off. Sleep better, wake up stronger, and show up ready for your family, your work, and your country. Because when you're well-rested, you're unstoppable. And this country needs more people like that.
President Donald Trump announced Monday he's renewing his push to eliminate mail-in voting ahead of the 2026 midterm elections, saying the process is corrupt. But Democrats are pledging to fight his efforts.
Here with the details is Daily Wire culture reporter Megan Basham. Hey, Megan. So let's start with the basics. Exactly what is the president promising to do here and what's driving this initiative?
Well, the president is promising to issue an executive order to end that mail-in balloting. He has said that he's already got the best lawyers working on drafting that order. And this was what he said Monday during a meeting at the Oval Office with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
We're going to end mail-in voting. It's a fraud. If you have mail-in vote, even Jimmy Carter with this commission, they set it up. He said the one thing about mail-in voting, you will never have an honest election if you have mail-in. I hate to take your time with this, but I'm glad you asked me that question. We're going to stop mail-in ballots because it's corrupt.
Now, the president is also taking aim at electronic voting. He has said that it is seriously controversial. He's also said that it's much more expensive, that it's slower, and it's less accurate than that typical watermarked paper balloting process.
All right, so these are initiatives he's brought up before. Here he is following through. Does he have the actual legal authority to do this?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. By congressional design, states have the power to administer elections, but the power to regulate those federal elections lies with Congress. And back in March, Trump did issue an executive order to require proof of citizenship to vote, and federal courts blocked that order. So this order, if it comes to pass, is very likely to face those same kind of legal challenges. But we have seen some Republicans legislatively back Trump in some of these efforts. So the SAVE Act, which would enshrine that proof of citizenship requirement into law, well, it passed the House back in April unanimously among Republicans, and it has pretty strong GOP support in the Senate as well, including senators like Mike Lee and Marsha Blackburn. So we'll see if Republicans are willing to throw their weight behind this Trump order as well.
Now, what about Democrats? What are they saying about this?
Well, no surprise, they're promising to fight Trump tooth and nail on this. Chuck Schumer said on X that he will make sure that any and every measure that would make it even more difficult for Americans to vote will be dead on arrival in the Senate. And at the state level, Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold argued that mail-in ballots are secure. And she said that she, too, at the state level, will also be fighting Trump.
To make it very clear, he will not be successful. I have beat him over and over and over as he has attempted in 2020 to roll back mail ballots. But mail ballots do not help one party over another. That's what all the data shows. It just helps voters vote in a secure and accessible way. And to put it in perspective, we do have vote by mail. We send it to every active voter, but we have weeks of early voting, same-day voter registration, a lot of in-person voting options. And in 2024, 92% of Republican voters chose to use their mail ballots.
But a little context there on what Griswold said. It may be up for debate whether or not mail-in ballots benefit one party more than the other, but it's not in question that one party uses them much more than the other. Democrats are much more likely to use mail-in voting. In fact, in 2024, there was an 18-point split between the two parties.
Well, yeah, we started to see that split back in 2020. It's been very dramatic between the two parties. Megan, thanks for reporting.
My pleasure.
Did you know that roughly 36% of Americans have below average credit scores, which can make borrowing more difficult and expensive? That's where Kickoff can help. Users with credit under 600 grew an average of 84 points in their first year with on-time payments. You can start building your credit right away for just $1 in your first month. The whole sign-up process only takes a few minutes and it's right from your phone. There's no credit check required and you can cancel whenever you want. Start building credit with Kickoff today. You can get your first month for as little as $1. That's 80% off the normal price when you go to getkickoff.com/wire today. That's Kickoff without the C. Get KIKOFF.com/wire. Must sign up via getkickoff.com/wire to activate offer. Offer applies to new Kickoff customers as first month only. Subject to approval. Offer subject to change. Average first-year credit score impact of plus 84 points between January 2023 and January 2024 for Kickoff credit account users who started with a score below 600, who paid on time, or who have no delinquencies or collections added to their credit profile during the period. Late payments may negatively impact your credit score. Individual results may vary.
The U.S. Navy has deployed 3 destroyers off the coast of Venezuela. The warships are positioned to confront Latin American drug cartels.
Here to talk about the Trump administration's escalating war on the cartels is Daily Wire reporter Tim Pierce. So, Tim, what do we know about these assets that are now stationed in the Caribbean?
It's a big show of muscle by the Trump administration. According to Reuters, the U.S. military has deployed 3 Arleigh Burke guided missile destroyers to international waters off the coast of Venezuela. These are warships equipped with the advanced Aegis combat system, which is capable of defensive, tracking, and striking abilities. In addition to that, the U.S. has sent 4,000 sailors and Marines, several P-8 spy planes, other warships, and at least 1 attack submarine to the region as well.
And what is Venezuela saying about this?
Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro is pretty irritated at the United States right now. He vented some of that frustration on Monday, though he did not speak directly toward the U.S. military deployment. But he did say he would deploy 4.5 million militiamen throughout the country over, quote, extravagant, bizarre, and outlandish threats from the United States. For its part, the White House commented on the Reuters report yesterday. Here's White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
The Maduro regime is not the legitimate government of Venezuela. It is a narco-terror cartel. In Maduro, it is the view of this administration, is not a legitimate president. He is a fugitive head of this cartel who has been indicted in the United States for trafficking drugs into the country.
And I should note that that was in response to a question on whether the president wanted boots on the ground in Venezuela, and Leavitt didn't rule it out. The Trump administration says that Maduro is a key leader in drug cartels recently designated as foreign terrorist organizations. Earlier this month, Attorney General Pam Bondi announced the United States had increased its bounty on Maduro to $50 million.
Maduro uses foreign terrorist organizations like TDA, Sinaloa, and Cartel of the Suns to bring deadly drugs and violence into our country. To date, the DEA has seized 30 tons of cocaine linked to Maduro and his associates, with nearly 7 tons linked to Maduro himself. The DOJ has seized over $700 million of Maduro-linked assets, including 2 private jets, 9 vehicles, and more. Yet Maduro's reign of terror continues. He is one of the largest narco-traffickers in the world and a threat to our national security.
Wow, so a $50 million bounty on Maduro. So can the Trump administration go after him directly?
Well, it's a legal gray area, but it wouldn't be unprecedented. Former President George H.W. Bush sent 20,000 troops into Panama in 1989 under some similar circumstances. Back then, the Bush administration said Panama's dictator, Manuel Noriega, was a prolific drug trafficker, so it sent in the military to arrest him. That decision was backed up by a legal memo written by former Attorney General Bill Barr, who at that time was head of the Office of Legal Counsel. Barr said that the president had the authority to direct the arrest of fugitives in other countries with or without the consent of those countries.
So a major escalation. Tim, thanks for reporting.
Good to be on.
If you run a small business, you know there's nothing small about it. Even the smallest decisions can feel massive. That's where Shopify comes in. Shopify is the e-commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world, from household names to brands that are just getting started. You can tackle all the important tasks all in one place, from inventory to payments to analytics and more. Even marketing becomes a breeze thanks to their built-in tools for running social media and email campaigns, helping you find new customers and keep them coming back. Plus, Shopify's global selling tools have you covered internationally in over 150 countries, and their award-winning point of sale connects your online and offline sales all in the same place. With an impressive 99.99 uptime and the highest converting checkout experience on the planet, you'll never miss another sale. That's the Shopify advantage. Get all the big stuff for your small business right with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period and start selling today at shopify.com/morningwire. Head over to shopify.com/morningwire. Again, that's shopify.com/morningwire.
President Trump continues to work toward a peace deal in Ukraine, as back home, his takeover of the D.C. police is already getting results.
Daily Wire senior editor Cabot Phillips has more from the White House. Hey, Cabot. So let's start with these crucial meetings between Trump with Putin and then Zelensky. Where do things stand now?
Yeah, following that White House summit Monday, the likelihood of a looming peace deal seems to be growing by the hour. European leaders who for the last 6 months have made their anger towards Trump quite public are now singing a very different tune, expressing downright optimism towards his approach with Putin. Many did not expect Moscow to agree to that U.S.-backed security guarantee for Ukraine, and the fact that Trump was able to secure that from Putin clearly has them rethinking their past criticism. This new unified front between Trump and Europe also gives more leverage in final negotiations, and those negotiations could happen very soon. President Trump reportedly called up Putin right after his meeting with those European leaders on Monday for an impromptu chat, making arrangements for a trilateral meeting that would also include Zelensky. Here he is Tuesday explaining why he's intent on getting a deal done so quickly.
One of the gentlemen, who's a great guy, but he said, well, let's meet in another month or two, and let's see if we can start, making some... He said, a month or two? You're going to have another 40,000 people dead in a month or two. You have to do it tonight. And I did, actually. I called President Putin, and we're trying to work out a meeting with President Zelensky.
And as we seemingly inch closer to a deal, the White House on Monday took shots at those who have doubted President Trump's foreign policy chops and his strategy for peace. Here's Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
The so-called experts in the foreign policy establishment, whose record is nothing but endless wars, trillions of wasted taxpayer dollars, and dead Americans, have the nerve to try and lecture President Trump, who has solved 7 global conflicts in 7 months, about peace.
Now, during his meeting with Zelensky, it got a lot of attention that President Trump did not rule out the use of American forces as peacekeepers in Ukraine, saying, quote, "we'll help them out," but failing to specify if that meant boots on the ground. However, yesterday, the White House stepped in and offered assurances that American troops would not be on the ground in Ukraine.
The president has definitively stated U.S. boots will not be on the ground in Ukraine, but we can certainly help in the coordination and perhaps provide other means of security guarantees to our European allies.
But it's worth noting, amid all this apparent peace progress, Vladimir Putin is still pushing forward, hoping to gain as much land as possible before a potential deal. In the last 48 hours, he's launched hundreds of drone attacks, killing soldiers and civilians alike. So the fighting, it's very much continuing.
Right. We continue to see Putin be very aggressive. Now let's move from foreign policy to domestic policy. The White House really touting what's going on in D.C. What is the latest?
Well, the arrests following President Trump's federalization of the D.C. police force continue to pile up, with federal agents and National Guardsmen patrolling the streets, focusing on high crime areas in particular. At latest count, Attorney General Pam Bondi says nearly 500 arrests have been made, with 68 illegal guns seized and offenders wanted on charges of homicide, narcotics, and assault all brought in. Hundreds of the other arrests were related to illegal immigration, with a number of alleged MS-13 gang members brought in as well. That crackdown has also resulted in the removal of a number of large homeless encampments that had sprung up across the city. And according to the union representing the D.C. Police Department, the crackdown is already having an immense impact. They say in the last 7 days, car thefts are down 21%, violent crime is down 22%, robberies 46%, and carjackings a staggering 83%.
Well, so a big impact. The White House hoping those numbers hold. Now, in terms of economic policy, there was also some good news for Trump. What did we hear there?
Yeah, on Tuesday, the Dow Jones touched an all-time high, really defying expectations of this bear market that was supposedly going to be brought on by Trump's tariffs. Despite the well-documented concerns over the labor market and inflation brought on by trade wars, investors certainly remain optimistic that the worst turmoil is behind us and that economic growth is on the way. Remember, for months now, President Trump has been pressing Fed Chair Jerome Powell to lower rates, and it looks like he could soon get his wish. A poll of economists this week showed that the majority now expect a rate cut coming in September, which obviously would be music to Trump's ears. He's confident that would result in major economic expansion, particularly in the housing market, where hundreds of thousands of Americans have been waiting on the sidelines, hoping for rates to come down.
Yeah, but thanks for reporting.
Absolutely.
Thanks for waking up with us. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We'll be back later this evening with more news you need to know.